Hello and welcome to your Game Week 15 Essential Guide. I'm your host Stephen Gallagher, and today we're looking at all things Game Week 15, and I'm going to show you my free hit draft at the end of the video as well. Let's get straight into it. Let's take a quick look at who's been conceding the least XG so far this season. At the top of the plot, it is of course Arsenal, followed by basically everyone else, and then Burnley. So those two are basically at other ends of the spectrum in terms of the XG conceded data we have so far this season. After Arsenal, it's Newcastle, Brentford, City, Liverpool, Palace, Fulham, Villa. You can keep going down, but there's not much separating the top 5 or so teams besides Arsenal, of course. If we compare each team's XG conceded with their fixture difficulty rating from a defensive perspective over the next 5 game weeks, we get this plot here. We can see Arsenal obviously on the far out of the plot with how good their XG conceded data is so far this season, but at the top of the plot we can see some teams with good fixtures coming up. They maybe aren't as good defensively as Arsenal. Man United, Brentford, Newcastle, City. These 4 teams look to have some good fixtures coming up and also decent defensive data. But which defenses should we be targeting? If we rank each team by their fixture difficulty multiplied by their defensive strength, we get this table which gives us an idea of who is most likely to get clean sheets over the next 5 game weeks. Arsenal at the top of the plot with actually really good fixtures coming up, as well as having the best defense in the league. I think the tough thing is picking the right Arsenal defender. I went for Jurrien Timber last week. He ended up getting benched. We're actually halfway through game week 14 right now. The Man United West Ham game starts in 10 minutes and I've got Bruno captain, but that's besides the point. But I transferred in Jurrien Timber and actually ended up wanting him not to play because I vice captain Munoz, who got a massive haul 14 pointer. But Jurrien Timber did come on for Mascara, so good to see Jurrien Timber get a bit of a rest. I think he'll be good to go for this fixture against Villa. And yeah, I just like this run for Arsenal defenders. I'm happy to have Jurrien Timber in my team. I think he's probably got the best minutes of all the Arsenal defenders, and it's honestly worth the risk in terms of expected minutes just to have double Arsenal defense, because I've got Raya as well. I do think double Arsenal defense is worth the punt, even if you're risking a bit on the minutes side. Second in the table is Brentford with Spurs away, Leeds at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home, and then Spurs again at home. They've really good fixtures here and they're actually not too bad from a defensive perspective. I think they rank 3rd in the league so far for XGC, depending on what models you're looking at. So they are solid defense according to the data, and they've good fixtures coming up. In terms of who to go for, I think Collins is the one that gets the best defensive data. I free hit him into my team in Game Week 13 and he got 22 defensive contributions, which is absolutely massive. But another player to look out for is if you have Pope in your team and you need to get rid of him, I think Kelleher is a good replacement. He's cheap, they've got good data, they've got good fixtures coming up. I think he's the best Pope replacement in my opinion. Third in the table is Newcastle. They have Burnley at home, Sunderland away, Chelsea at home, Man United away, and then Burnley away. So they play Burnley twice in the next 5 game weeks. That's an amazing fixture run. Obviously Sunderland isn't really an easy fixture anymore, but they're not a great attack. They do get the odd goal, but their attacking data isn't amazing. That's why they're a green fixture according to our model. So they have some really good fixtures coming up, and also Newcastle are the 2nd best defense in the league according to the expected data so far. I think they're a good punt going forward. Someone like Malik Chow is probably the one that I would go for. On to the attackers. Let's have a look at who's been creating the most XG so far this season. At the top of the table, it is Man City. Then a bit of a jump down to Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Man United and Brighton, and then another jump down to the rest of the table. If we compare each team's XG created with their fixture difficulty rating from an attacking perspective over the next 5 game weeks, we get this plot. There's no clear winner in the top right, although you would say Man City is closest to that. They have the best non-pen XG per 90. They don't have the best fixtures coming up, but on the other side of that spectrum is Newcastle with not the best attacking data, but they have really good fixtures coming up. Same can be said for Fulham, and there are options that I'll discuss on both of these teams, notably for Newcastle, Voltemata, and for Fulham, Raul Jimenez. So which attacks should we be targeting? If we rank each team by their fixture difficulty rating multiplied by their attacking strength, we get this table which gives us an idea of who is going to score the most goals over the next 5 game weeks. City at the top of the table, not the best fixtures, but their attacking strength brings them right up to the top. Obviously Haaland is a player that we should all have on our team. I went against captain in Haaland when he played Fulham away, and that was clearly a mistake. No matter who he's playing, it looks like he's going to score against whoever he wants, basically. And then Foden is the flavour of the week. He's catching form. I think that a fit Phil Foden at his price in this form is an absolute bargain in FPL. We know how good he can be. He was player of the season 2 years ago. When this City attack is flowing and he's part of it, he's always going to be getting a lot of goal contributions. So I really like Foden as a pick for this fixture run. Second in the table is Arsenal with Aston Villa away, Wolves at home, Everton away, Brighton at home, and then Villa at home. I wouldn't say they're the best fixtures, but there's no clear really bad fixtures here for Arsenal in this 5-game span. And obviously they're a good attack. It's just about who's going to be getting those goals. I do think Saka is a good pick from them. Other than that, it's kind of hard to tell who to go for. Obviously Eze was an interesting pick when Odegaard was out, but Odegaard is back and I'm not so sure about Eze's minutes going forward. Newcastle third in the table with Burnley at home, Sunderland away, Chelsea at home, Man United away, and then Burnley away. Like I said, they play Burnley twice in the next 5 game weeks. That alone is enough to go for someone like Voltemata. You could venture outwards for Gordon or Barnes, but I do really like the look of Voltemata. I think his only competition right now for the striker spot with Osula and Vissa out is Gordon, and we know that Gordon hasn't really shown that he can do it in the number 9 position, so I'd imagine Eddie Howe will want to give Voltemata as many minutes up top instead of giving them to Gordon. Maybe Voltemata gets a rest in one of these Burnley fixtures, but I'm very interested in getting Voltemata into my team, which you might have seen in my transfer plans video already. But yeah, Voltemata is definitely on my radar and should be on yours as well. Quick shout out to Fulham in this table, who are down at 7th. They don't have the best attack and strength. We know they're not the best attack in the league, but they have the second best fixtures from an attacking perspective, and I do think Raul Jimenez is a good shout when you look at the fact that they have Burnley, Forest and West Ham in that 3-game week span from game week 16 to 18. He's definitely someone that we should be considering for a short-term punt at least. If you're enjoying the video so far, then drop a like, it helps a lot, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're still aiming for 10,000 subs by the end of the season, so join the community if you haven't already. And now a quick word from today's sponsor of the video, Footium. Today's video is sponsored by Footium, which is a game I'm really excited to show you guys. It's essentially a mix between Football Manager and Ultimate Team. You own a football club and every day you play against another manager in your league. You pick the lineup and tactics of your squad and you can watch the matches live, even making some subs and tactical changes depending on how the game is going. Then in between games you can improve your squad by training up your players or even exploring the transfer market for some new signings. And this is the part that I really enjoy about Footium. You can scout for new players on the transfer market that fit your squad, your playing style and tactics. You also get a new batch of young prospects from your academy every season, and it feels like opening packs on Ultimate Team. Then you decide who to sign, who to train up to boost their ratings, or you can even just flip them on the transfer market for a profit. You can play for free as a caretaker manager to get a bit of a feel for the game, and if you win your league, you actually win ownership of your squad. Or you can do what I did and buy a club with the starter bundle so that you can own your club outright. It's currently pre-season, the new season starts next week, so if you want to join in time, use my link in the description below if you're interested. Now back to the video. On to the stats review, where we analyze the best performing players statistically. Players in red are the most expensive, in green are the cheapest, and the size of their bubble is relative to their minutes played. For the goalkeepers, we're looking at expected goals conceded per 90 against the fixture difficulty rating from a defensive perspective. You can see the likes of Lamans at the top of the plot. The Man United fixtures are really good. And then Queven Kelleher below them for Brentford, another really good pick that I like as a Pope replacement. Pope is next to Donnarumma in the plot, and then Raya. If you're going for a premium keeper, then Raya has to be the one, just because of how good Arsenal's defense is this season. Onto the defenders, we're looking at expected goal involvement per 90 against the fixture difficulty rating from a defensive perspective. Again, Man United players at the top, with De Ligt out in front as the one with the best expected data. Collins and Vandenberg below him for the Brentford defenders, also closely followed by Coyote. Below them, you can see Malik Chow for Newcastle. To the right of the plot, the players that are getting the most expected goal involvement so far this season: Calafiori, Urian Timber, Nico O'Reilly at Man City, another really good defensive asset that you could go for. His data looks really solid and City's fixtures are pretty decent as well. Below them, Cucurella and James for Chelsea, and then Munoz just below the average line for the fixture difficulty rating. He's another pick that just is doing exactly what we thought he would do this season, getting a lot of goal involvements, and his data looks amazing as well. If we change the x-axis to defensive contributions per 90, you can see the likes of Nathan Collins starting to jump forward in the plot. Vandenberg not too far behind him. De Ligt as well, looking like he has the best defensive contributions data and expected goal involvement data for the Man United defenders, so he's probably the clear pick for them. Below them, Byrne and Chow for Newcastle with similar DEFCON data. The ones that are really standing out in this plot: Konate, Van Dijk, Anderson. Then the Crystal Palace lads, Lacroix, Richards, forwards, the Everton lads, Tarkowski, Keane, and then Senesi just way out ahead of everyone, but he's obviously out of most of our teams after his suspension there. On to the midfielders, we're looking at expected goal involvement per 90 against the fixture difficulty rating from an attacking perspective. You can see Mo Salah in bright red is much more expensive than all the other midfielders in the plot, so we'll get a look at where he is. He's not really doing enough to separate himself from the bunch and to justify his price tag, and he's been benched 2 games in a row, so that makes him even worse as an asset. I think if you have Mo Salah in your team, he's got to go because he's just taking up so much budget. But let's remove him from the plot to get a better look at the rest of the midfielders in terms of their price. You can see on the far right the players with the best expected goal involvement so far this season: Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Enzo, Gakpo, Mbeumo, Doku, Semenyo, Foden. Some really good FPL assets. I think they're all great FPL assets in my opinion. But if you just want to go for the fixtures play, Bruno Guimaraes at the top of the plot. With Newcastle's really good fixtures, I think he's a solid shout. If we look at defensive contributions instead of expected goal involvement, the Newcastle midfielders do jump forward again. Bruno is still in the mix there, but Joe Linton actually has better DEFCON data apparently. And then on the right of the plot, Vifer with really good DEFCON data, followed by Anderson, one of my favorite midfielder picks right now. At his price, I think Anderson is really good value in your midfield as an 8th or even a 7th attacker in your squad. Onto the forwards, we're looking at expected goal involvement per 90 against the fixture difficulty rating from an attacking perspective. Haaland on the far right of the plot. He's basically going to stay there all season. His expected data is just so good. Not the best fixtures coming up, but they're not terrible, and he's Haaland, so he's going to score against whoever he wants basically. If we remove him from the plot to get a better look at the price of the rest of the forwards, Mateta in the bottom right, he's been really disappointing. He just seems like one of those players that is getting a lot of chances, but he's just not doing much with them. He's not clinical enough this season. We've not really seen that clinical finishing from him, so that's been really disappointing as a Mateta owner. But above him, Thiago for Brentford is such a good FPL asset at his price. The fact that he's on penalties, 90 minutes, his data looks really good. I just think he's great value and frees up funds for the rest of your squad. But if you want to go a bit differently, you can see at the top of the plot, Voltemata is there with the best fixtures. Like I said, they play Burnley twice in the next 5 game weeks. I myself am deciding on a forward transfer. I could go for Voltemata, Thiago. And I did say I think Thiago is a better FPL asset in the long term. But as a short-term punt, I really like this Burnley fixture for Voltemata. And I think it's just a nice way to differentiate myself a little bit. Speaking of Voltemata, this is my free hit draft. For anyone that is free hitting, I think now is a good game week to do so because there's a lot of really good fixtures to attack. You see, I've got triple City, triple Newcastle, I've got double Man United and double Brighton in this draft, so I really like the fixtures that you can attack here. So I do really like this week for free hitters. In nets, I've got Raya against Villa away. I just back the Arsenal defence. This isn't me getting Raya in because everyone else owns him to play it a bit safe. I just really think that Arsenal are going to get a clean sheet. And I can't really trust the other Arsenal defenders 4 minutes except for Urian Timber, who is very expensive. As you can see, I've put a lot of money into this squad. Then into the defence, I've got a back 3. Double Newcastle defence with Burn and Chow against Burnley at home. Really like the look of Newcastle's clean sheet odds for this game against Burnley at home. And then O'Reilly against Sunderland at home. I mean, Man City defence isn't necessarily very inspiring right now, but all the data points to high clean sheet odds for Man City this week, and I think I just want a slice of that pie in this free hit draft. Then into the midfield 4, we've got Foden against Sunderland at home. Again, Man City's projected goals this game week is very high, and I think the double Man City attack for Foden and Haaland just makes sense for this free hit. Speaking of double attack, I've also got Man United against Wolves away, Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes. I really like having 2 Man United attackers for this fixture. I would honestly try to get De Ligt into this squad, but I'm not sure who would replace him, but Wolves are just so poor right now. 5 losses in a row in the league, so yeah, I'd probably should try to get 3 Man United players into this team, but for now we've got Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes captain, which we will talk about. Speaking of double attack, I've got Minta and Welbeck against West Ham at home. Again, West Ham not been great defensively. Brighton have looked good going forward, and these 2 guys have looked very good. For FPL points, they've been raking them in over the course of this season so far, so I like attacking this fixture on the free hit. And then finishing it off is Voltemata against Burnley at home. One of the first names on the team sheet after Haaland and Bruno. I really like Voltemata for this fixture. Then onto the bench, I've got Dubravka and Alderete as 2 budget players, and then I've got De Ligt and Anderson, but I would love to find a way to get De Ligt into this team just because of how poor Wolves have been, and I think he's probably the best Man United defender in terms of his data. Maybe you could play him over O'Reilly or even Welbeck or Minta, but it just goes to show that you can afford this team because De Ligt is about 5 million, but you can obviously downgrade him and just put Anderson first on your bench if you like the look of this free hit draft. On to captaincy for this game week. In first place, I have Haaland against Sunderland at home. I think everyone saw this coming. Haaland is just the best player in the league right now. He's getting so many goals. He can score against anyone. Fulham away didn't look like an easy fixture on paper, but obviously it was an absolute goal fest, and Haaland had involvements in 3 of those goals, and he could have had more. He hit the post twice as well. So although Sunderland is another tough fixture, I guess you could say on paper, but not necessarily, because they are a promoted side, but they've shown that they can hang with the rest of the big boys in the Premier League. I still like this fixture because it's Erling Haaland. I'm not even looking at the fixture, just slap the captaincy on Erling Haaland. But if you do want to go different, Bruno Fernandes against Wolves away makes so much sense to me. I like Bruno captain because he's got so many routes to points. He plays 90 minutes, he gets DEFCONs, he gets assists, he's on penalties. So he has a lot of routes to points. And yeah, Wolves are just so terrible. So I like the look of Bruno captaincy here if you want to go a bit different instead of Haaland. But you could also go for someone like Votamana, who I've talked about a lot this video, but I really like the look of him for this Burnley at home fixture. I think it's a good way to go differential. I could see them doing well, and it's mainly the fact that Burnley are so poor, not the fact that Votamad is an absolutely insane FPL asset. I just think we should be attacking Burnley at home fixtures at Newcastle in St James's Park. Newcastle are so strong there, so I could see him getting a return here, but I would probably say Haaland and Bruno just edge it for me in terms of their historical data in FPL and also how they've looked this season. So there's my captaincy rankings for the game week. If you're still watching and you enjoyed the video, then drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're still aiming for 10,000 subs, so join the community if you haven't already. Until next time guys, have a good one.